I want to ask you about US-China relations more broadly. You said the dispute between the two sides is not just about trade, and it won't be easy to resolve. Can you elaborate more on that, especially given what's happening recently in the past few months and years?
I think US-China relationships, from my history, and I started in 1972 working on this when I was Kissinger's economic advisor in the White House. I was very optimistic. China, we hadn't had trade or investment for many decades, as you know, between our two countries. But I also think bringing China in the WTO made a lot of sense to bring China into the system. But I think that now relations are really not good. They're probably, from what I've seen, at least in my professional life, probably the worst that we've seen. They're a little better now. I wouldn't say the worst. They were probably worse under Trump because the rhetoric was so harsh. The rhetoric is not as harsh now, and that is at least a plus. And the second is that we are seeing these dialogues between the U.S. trade negotiator and Yellen, and all three are very accomplished people. But I just think that my worry is, and I regret this because I think it's the wrong direction, but I think the direction is toward more tensions and more differences, and the interaction between the two countries is just not good at this point. And therefore, I think we need to find some way of getting it back on track, because the potential for the two greatest powers on earth, and the two greatest scientific powers and the two greatest technological powers, is the opportunity is enormous. The other is that the technological issues tend to morph over or slide into military-related issues, because almost all the new technologies that we're developing and you're developing have enormous commercial benefit, but also many of them have potential benefits for military strength. And if we have more and more friction on the security side, on security issues, then the argument is, if China benefits technologically, that will help them economically, but it will also help them in terms of security strength. And I'm sure in Beijing, people say, well, if the Americans get advantage in certain areas, that'll help them on security issues as well. So we have to, so these things are all, they're not just trade and they're not just investment issues. They've morphed over, they've conjoined with security related issues, and that makes them much harder to deal with because of the level of suspicion and the level of mistrust that has developed over the last several years.